Recently, South Africa went into a recession the first time since 2009. This was followed obviously by the verdict from the rating agencies, and there were a lot of proposals and prescriptions done by different observers on this. Question is, where is the ordinary person in all this, and how can you proof your finances against this? Well, joining us to speak about that is Schalk Malan, who is the Chief Executive Officer at BrightRock. Schalk, it felt like the ordinary person had been forgotten in all this big money conversation when you're talking about the recession. How exactly do we pick the pieces from there?
Yeah, good morning, Bonnie, and thanks for having me. Yeah, I think it's definitely a triple blow for South Africa. You know, if you think about the rating agencies, the technical recession. So if you think about that man on the street, the consumer, key things to consider at this time is how do you protect making sure that your income and your employment is well protected, doing the best that you can, but also making sure that in times where you might be sick or disabled, that you've got the adequate cover in place. But then very importantly, and that's something that I think we as South Africans have come to talk about a lot, is your debt and managing that debt and making plans around that.
Let's talk about that debt, because we had a report from the NCR saying that they expect impairments to actually increase in this recessionary time. So we've got short and long-term debt. People say good and bad debt. So take us through how to effectively manage that debt.
Yeah, Fifi, I think the key thing is to look at your current debt situation. I mean, there's a lot of schools of thought around that. To look first at your most expensive debt. That's typically where your credit cards, and that has got high interest rates. Where your longer-term debt's often got a lower interest rate. And there are ways and means to try and consolidate your debt into more cheaper debt, also focus on your more expensive debt. But I want to add a little interesting thing that I read the other day about behavioral economics, where guys often said also you want to make sure that you feel that you're getting momentum, that you're getting some success. And that often means start with the smaller things, you know, and start getting some small success going forward. It's about changing habits. It's about changing your way around doing things, and that's often also left outside. It's people just look at the financial side, but also look at you and the behavior and changing your behavior by having some small wins on the table.
Schalk, seems like there are a lot of austerity measures, so to speak, in what you're saying. Is there any opportunity to grow what you already have during this recession period?
Oh, absolutely, Bonnie. I think if you think about opportunities, you spoke earlier about volatility often brings opportunities, but I think, you know, some easy wins are often looking at those expenses. You know, if you think about just simple things like your insurance side of your portfolio as an individual, there's often significant wins, and there's some fantastic products to save people 40–50% in their premiums, to be able to strip out waste. You know, look at your portfolio and see where can I strip out waste, and simply having that additional cash flow in your system can be then applied towards building up your portfolio and perhaps taking advantage of some of these opportunities that does get presented in these volatile times.
And of course, separating your luxuries from your necessities being key here, although some people will argue what a luxury is.
Absolutely. I think, you know, that is definitely an ongoing challenge, and it varies from person to person. It's relative, obviously. But I do think in these times one should look at, you know, firstly, your family, also look at your family planning. You know, do you have children, making sure that they are well taken care of. But I always say, make sure that the bases are in place. So, for example, you've got a bit of a nest egg in terms of, you know, should something go wrong. And that definitely extends to your insurance ability to fund yourself if something goes wrong. But then also, do you need that extra holiday? Do you need that new cell phone? You know, really think twice about that. And that's not so bad, because having that safe peace of mind, having that additional funding in your pocket definitely goes a long way, you know, and will present opportunities downstream as well when the time's right.
Well, Schalk, thank you for those very useful tips there. Hopefully our consumers will apply them. But we're saying goodbye now to Schalk Malan, and he is, of course, the CEO of BrightRock. Now